we have to start with a Clasico. Where else do you start? It is a Clasico.
Of course.
Real Madrid go into this. They're a goal down.
Yeah.
They lost at home.
Yeah.
They've lost La Liga. Older players. We're not really sure if Ancelotti's back, even though he says he's going to come back. He'll stay until 2034 if they'll have him, blah, 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 ha. And then they go, and it's a demolition. In the second half.
Yeah, in the second half.
And it's another hat trick for
Karim the Dream. Back-to-back hat trick. And the first one against Real Madrid, you take it, okay, in 7 minutes is great, but a Clasico hat trick is pretty special. 12 hat tricks now in Karim Benzema's career. In his whole career, 16 goals in 43
Didn't Shearer
Clasico.
have like 12 in a single season?
Maybe.
Okay.
Good for Shearer then. I don't know.
Just
Like,
checking.
Karim the
Erling
Dream
Haaland's
is
on the
very
way.
special, times 3. But the only thing was, before the game, Gab, when you saw that De Jong wasn't there, Pedri wasn't there, no Dembele, no Christensen, and it was a weaker Barca side, you thought, okay, maybe this time could be different, because the last 3 Clásicos, as you said, Barca won them all, and it was very different. Even if Barca had the chances in the first half, they could have had a penalty early on, they could have scored certainly before the first Real Madrid goal on the counter attack, but once Real Madrid won 1-0 up, there were no other winner.
So I kind of feel like I'm going to give Barcelona a little bit of and Xavi a bit of a pass here. For the thinking is, okay, on the one hand, you're not in European football anymore. This is your Champions League. Win the Copa del Rey, right? You don't have the motivation to stay in the league because you've wrapped it up. On the other hand, those absences weigh really, really heavy. At the weekend, we saw Marcos Alonso at centre back against Elche, right?
Yeah.
It's fine against Elche. Marcos Alonso can play centre back, but there's a huge drop off. I mean, I never thought we would actually say like, "Oh, Christensen missing is like Beckenbauer's missing," but it did kind of feel that way.
It did.
Eric
and also
Garcia,
when you move Koundé and Araujo to defend on Vinicius, I think that messes up your back four as well.
well, he's done it before and it worked in the League Clasico.
But this time it didn't, and Koundé was all over the place.
And still, in that first half, they had their opportunities.
Yeah, you're right.
And I thought they had the upper hand right until that weirdo sliding doors moment at the end of the first half when Lewandowski has a chance and then you miss it and they go right up the pitch and score.
Yeah. And to be fair, and we've said it before, this Real Madrid side with Vinicius and Benzema, and when Rodrigo plays as well, is the best counter-attacking team in Europe right now. They're so devastating. We saw against Liverpool, for example, and okay, it's an average Liverpool side, but still, when they counter like that, it's just very hard to stop.
Yeah, I think also a bit of bad luck too, because I thought Koundé was going to clear it, but it looks like he slips or he's kind of uncoordinated and everything. And it's interesting, I think, psychologically too, because, we say, you never want to concede right before halftime and whatever, but all it does, the messaging, I thought at halftime should have been very straightforward from Xavi, and I'm sure it was. He said, okay, guys, unlucky on the goal. This should teach us. Let's learn from this. We should have put it away. Now, all it means it's 0-0, right? Because it's 1-1 on average.
Yeah, exactly.
But then I thought there was a real sea change in the second half in the way the game unfolded. It wasn't just a case of Real Madrid counter. I mean, Benzema's first goal.
Yeah.
Modric coming alive when he didn't do much in the first half. That showed, I thought, something went missing from Barcelona there.
Yeah, and I think Carlo Ancelotti changed something at halftime as well by putting Modric a bit higher up on the pitch, and Real Madrid as a whole played a little bit higher to start the second half. They scored early again after the break, like they did again against Liverpool in the Champions League, which you've just considered before the break, and 5 minutes in the second half, you're already 2-0 down. And Sergio Roberto, who I don't rate, who took a stupid yellow card after 10 minutes, can't foul Modric on that second goal. Otherwise, you foul him, he doesn't deliver the assist for Benzema, it's a free kick, okay, and you take a yellow, but you take it for the team.
Of course.
Now you can't do that. It's literally, I think Modric has a free road there to then cross the ball for Benzema. Koundé is off position because Rodrigo made a good run, and then that's it. And once you're 2-0 down, you know how hard it's going to be against that Real Madrid team.
The coup de grace, Frank Kessie, who we do like a lot.
Yeah, we do like a lot.
He's the president.
Yeah.
But that was a brain fart.
It was.
There's no reason to do that. And you're going to foul him.
Yeah, and again, you're 30 minutes in that second half and you're 3 goals down already and you conceded 2, and there's no need to do. That's the thing, is that we've said it, but again, we repeat ourselves when we talk about Real Madrid, but when you give them those opportunities, they destroy you.
Jules, like I said, I'm kind of giving Barcelona a pass for this, because I do think the absence is way a lot heavier than people realize, and you wanted to make a point that in terms of creativity, you know, as much as we both love Kessie and that, when it's Kessie and Sergio Roberto in midfield, you're going to be predictable. Right?
And I think they were, especially in that second half, and when Camavinga defends so well on Rafinha, who is your main creative point in the team, because Gavi does a lot of really good things, but he fluidified the games and he links up everything, but you relying on Rafinha to be the productive one and the creative one, and I guess Alejandro Balde on the other side a little bit. But Camavinga had an amazing game at left back against Rafinha again, and Camavinga is just keeps surprising me game after game. But then from a Barca point of view, you're predictable, and then on the bench, you bring on Ansu Fati, but we talked about it enough. He doesn't have the impact that really he used to have or he should have now. So it becomes difficult. And then again, you open yourself to the counter-attacking threat from this Real Madrid side.
I do wonder, again, hindsight is always 20/20. I do wonder, though, if maybe this wasn't the game to say, all right, let me go more defensive in midfield. Let me put, Gavi in the 3 in midfield, with the 2 guys more holding, and then I get Ansu on the pitch.
Yeah.
From the start. And I say,
I agree.
I also to send a message to, Bori or whatever his dad's name is. Okay, this is your chance. Make or break. I suspect he thought Real Madrid are going to play on the counter or whatever. And to be fair, in the first half, he was kind of vindicated. They had the better chances. But after that, and I think what this speaks to as well with Barcelona is that for all the players that they've signed and everything, there's a certain fundamental, I think, instability to this team. Partly through the injuries, partly through the fact that De Jong obviously wasn't there, but he went into the season with the whole Manchester United, let's sell De Jong. Why won't De Jong leave so we can make money and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, he has, especially the last couple of months, before his injury, the kind of season he had, all this stuff, playing Marcos Alonso at center back. I mean, let's just think about, when we talk about Barcelona's situation financially, right? And where they are, and we take these things for normal, right? But Alex Valdez is suddenly a fundamental player on this team.
Yeah.
And he's a guy who, I think 12 months ago, very few people knew what he was. He wasn't even, as I understand it, he's not even somebody who was super highly rated out of the cantera, right? To the point that that's one of the reasons why they signed Marcos Alonso to begin with, right? You have Marcos Alonso at 33 years of age, or however old he is, who is a left back. Who's a left back not known for his defending.
Yeah, more of a wing back even.
A wing back, yeah. And you're in a situation where he's basically your second center back option, right? Because you don't have a right back because you screwed up the Bellerin thing, right? So because you have to want to play Kunde or Araujo there, Christensen's out, so you got to play him. Also because, what happened to Eric?
He came on. To my shock, he came on. I almost turned the TV off because I didn't want to see him.
Well, you wouldn't have liked it on Monday, because on Monday I thought he played really well at the weekend.
Yeah, but against Elche, I would play well in that team. So,
but doesn't it make more sense for him to play in central midfield? If you have to play, because I
would rather him not playing at all. But
no, but if I ask you, what is the best thing that this man does?
Yeah, I guess
he passes the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and if it's an open field tackle, put your body in, right?
Yeah, but not under pressure. You can play midfield against Elche.
That's the point. You've got center backs behind you. You're not under pressure. Yeah. You're just, I'm just wondering, what is this guy's future? I don't understand why so many people adore him. When I think you have these sort of consistent issues with him, and then these are all things that he has to deal with, that Xavi has had to deal with, and that Xavi has worked through. And I think a lot of people, when they speak of Barcelona, they're just blinded by the big names, and they don't realize the job that he's done.
You know what was interesting? Just quickly to finish on the tactical aspect of the game. In the end, a lot of it came down to the Camavinga v Rafinha battle and the Araujo v Vinicius battle. And you kind of knew that, I know it's in a simplistic way, but this is the way of whoever wins those two battles will have the upper hand on the game, and rightly so. And again, for Camavinga to be so good defensively on Rafinha for most of the game, and on the other side to see Araujo struggling more against Vini than in the last 3 games put together, I thought was very interesting. And Vinicius had a great game. I mean, the double touch for the last goal and for the assist for the Benzema hat-trick was just a wonderful piece of creativity and genius from him. But it felt like, even if at times he was really tense, we saw Gavi, who was always tense in those games, Vini as well, and then winding up the crowd, who was winding him up too, to be fair. It was just great. This is a Clasico, even if it's just a Copa del Rey semi-final second leg, or, you know, it's just It's still great, I think, to see Clásicos like that.
And I think also what helped this time was having Rodrigo in the front 3 instead of Valverde. Obviously, there's pros and cons with both. Right? For sure. It does mean you're not leaning. I mean, when they played in the league, obviously Araujo was phenomenal and he did his part. But everything leaned that way. With Rodrigo, at least you have the out that you don't have with Valverde, because it's just a different skill set. Araujo, I felt, didn't necessarily get the help defensively that you would have when you know it's going to go that way. And so it became more of an open field defending, and you know, Vinicius is tough to handle. Especially if Vinicius watched back the Clasico, he realizes, hey, I don't have to go the same way every single time. No, sometimes I can go to the outside a little more.
Exactly, like on the penalty, because on the penalty you maybe expect him to go the other way, and he comes back inside, and that's when Kessié make the foul.
With Real Madrid, I still think this is another team which has a ton of question marks. And one thing is kind of becoming clear is we haven't seen as much of Tchouaméni in the starting 11 recently. Obviously, last night, Kroos, Modric, and he moved Valverde deeper. But then he didn't play at the weekend either. I'm just wondering, has there been a drop of form? Is it a physical thing?
Yeah, I think after the World Cup, he struggled a little bit. And on the other hand, Camavinga has been outstanding since the return of the league after the World Cup, and Ancelotti was talking even after the Real Valladolid, or before the Real Valladolid game and before the Clasico, on how amazing Camavinga has been. And Camavinga starting now 21 of the last 23 Real Madrid games, whether a left back or as a holding midfielder, and has been incredible. And his good performances with France against Ireland too, I think, kind of boosted his confidence, the momentum, everything like that. And now I think Tchouaméni has gone from maybe being your number 2 choice in midfield to being clearly after Modric, Kroos, Camavinga, Valverde, and now only Tchouaméni. And so that's a bit worrying, I think, for him.
When we imagine, obviously people have talked about this endlessly, like how Real Madrid, they need to pick up pieces in the summer, and they've got a lot of people who are going to leave the club, but they have that midfield of the future. You know, that's the way it's been sold in Camavinga, Tchouaméni, and Valverde. You have got that right foot, left foot balance. You have Tchouaméni. But do we need to revise a little bit what that might look like? In the sense, what I'm driving at is those 3, none of them, if I were to ask you who's the most creative of the 3, it's probably Tchouaméni, right? But Kroos and Modric are both far more creative than both of them. I'm just wondering, and I don't know if Carlo's going to be there, and is this something that might they need to add another piece to resolve that creativity at some point? Somebody who can kind of, be an off-brand Modric in certain games.
Maybe. And that, I think, although Jude Bellingham is a very different player, you would not be surprised why they would maybe want to go for him. And you can keep Kroos. I think Modric is the one really where you want to keep
Kroos and Modric for a year. But I'm saying is, I'm talking
longer term.
The nice thing is that midfield could be your midfield for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
If we're projecting 2-3 years down the line, is there enough all-roundedness? Is there enough balance there? Or might we end up seeing more of Camavinga at left back?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. But I think Camavinga can become a really good passer to maybe to the quality of Toni Kroos. And I think you can make Tchouaméni or Valverde a really good box-to-box, driving forward with the ball and gaining ground with the ball, like you would need, I think, in a team like that. But don't forget as well that I think the midfielder that you will need or look for will also depend a lot on who's your number 9 once Karim goes. Because if you have a number 9, let's say like a Harry Kane type who drops deeper, then maybe you need less of that creative player in midfield that we're talking about now. If you've got Erling Haaland or Julien up front, then maybe you need a bit more. So it will depend also who comes as a number 9.
I also don't think it's necessarily written in stone that they're going to play 4-3-3 forever.
Yeah, you're right.
With a different manager, you might see a different setup.
True.
Final word on the rumbling Barcelona Negreira case. There are a couple things that happened. One is Alexander Chefrin. He gave an interview to Slovenian media where, you know, he kind of had to go at, obviously brought up the Super League again. It's kind of his favorite argument.
Yeah.
Understandably, I think. But he's like, oh, you know, of those 3 teams, look at them now. Like, you know, 2 of them basically have criminal investigations. Let's see what they can find on Real Madrid, which I thought you don't need to go and drag Real Madrid into this, right? But then there was a report on Monday in La Vanguardia, which is a Catalan newspaper, which sort of suggested that, I don't want to get into too much of the nitty gritty, but that Tebas in La Liga somehow might have not been honest in presenting the
like
facts. False numbers.
Yeah.
Tebas, furious about this, obviously immediately threatened to sue. So I don't want to go too much into it. In the end, we'll see. If he does sue, we'll let the courts decide what's right or wrong. What I don't understand about this is, what does Tebas gain? Because La Liga can't punish them, as we've established, right? Because the statute of limitations is gone. UEFA could. But if there's forged documents, you're
throwing it away, basically.
Is he saying he forged Barcelona's documents? And then Barcelona's like, no, these are the documents. And you've got bank statements to back things up and documents. You can't get somebody in trouble like this by forging documents, unless you're in the inside. It's not.
Really
this is what I didn't understand about the piece.
But do you think is the long? So Tebas and Laporta and Barcelona have been, kind of at war for a long time now, and do you think Tebas thought this is an opportunity to really go even harder on them, to the point that he could have misbehaved in a way?
Look. There's people who like Tebas, there's people who hate Tebas. I think people who hate Tebas would say Tebas isn't stupid.
Yeah.
So, this isn't like, the Agatha Christie murder hour where you find evidence and whatever, right?
Yeah.
If you're forging, because these documents, they're all backed up, they're lawyered. Unless you're going into Barcelona's safe and forging the document there together with the one that you received. Did you see what I'm saying?
I'm with you completely, man.
You're going to get caught. It seems really hard
Definitely.
that a proper court or a proper investigator, if Barcelona say, no, this document is falsified, that they're going to say, wait.
You're going to get
That's what I find extraordinary about it. No, but again, we're not the investigators. Let's wait for the prosecutors to do their job.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.